Next topic is view resolvers. Again, we have seen examples of view resolver working behind the scene, and we're going to take a look at in a bit more detail. So we will see the concept of resolving views, and then we are going to see Spring provided view resolvers. And you can in fact chain multiple view resolvers. We'll talk about the view versus response body, which we talked a little bit already in our previous presentation. And then we'll talk about the automatic logical view name generation. So in our previous presentation, we talked about how we can generate key name automatically, and you can actually do the same thing for view name generation. Then we'll talk about view controller and redirect view controller, which lets you actually go to a particular view without going through a controller. And then the last topic is content negotiating view resolver. It's a special view resolver. So let's move on. What does resolving view mean? Okay. Resolving a view means creating an appropriate view object. Okay, and that's what we are going to see in a few minutes. So all handler method in a controller must resolve for logical view name, and of course when you are returning a view, or you can actually send back the data directly by using response body. So if you're not using response body, by sending data directly to the client, then you are going to depend on view resolution. So you can return a view, logical view name, in a form of a string, or you can actually return it in the form of a view object if you want to, or we have seen example of model and view object. Okay, or implicitly, if you don't specify any return type, then logical view name will be selected, will be created by using the last fragment of the URL. So those are the things we have seen already. So logical view name is then resolved by a view resolver. So as I said, resolving a view means basically creating a view object, appropriate view object. So what it does, Spring MVC goes through a series of view resolvers that are configured in your system, in your application, until it finds a view resolver which can handle the logical view name. So if a view resolver returns a view object, that means it could handle it. If it cannot handle it, then it will return null. So if a null is returned from a particular view resolver, then next view resolver in the chain is going to be consulted, okay, until it finds a view resolver that returns a view object. So what is a view object? View object is basically representing what is being displayed, and we're going to see example of that in the following slide. So Spring comes with a set of view resolvers you can see, and every view resolver implement view resolver interface, and this interface has a single method called the resolve view name. It received the string logical view name and locale as well. So what we have, concentrated or focus is logical view name that is returned from a handler, and it creates a view object. As you can see, it returns a view object. Okay, so if you take a look at the view resolver, you're going to actually see this URL, this method, resolve view name, take the view name and locale, and then returns a view object. And then you can see there are a bunch of view resolver implementations. Okay, so we're going to actually see some of these examples. So what is a view interface and what is a view object? So all implementations of this interface are responsible for rendering the content. So view object is actually responsible for rendering the content. It also exposed the model. So we were able to actually access a model attributes, right? Okay. Now these are implementation classes of view interface. There are a bunch of view objects. Okay, so JSTL view object is for displaying JSP page, and that is what we've been using all along. Okay, there is a mapping Jackson to JSON view object that's for displaying JSON, and mapping Jackson to XML view that is for displaying XML. Tiles view is for displaying tiles. So we're going to actually look into tiles tomorrow. how we can actually display tiles. If you want to use more modern template technologies such as a type, time leaf, or free marker, or velocity, there are in fact corresponding view classes: time leaf view, free marker view, and velocity view. Okay. Here we're going to mostly focus on JSP, so underneath is using what is called the JSTL view for displaying or rendering contents to the browser. Okay, so yeah, so we have seen this one already. Okay, so Spring provided view resolvers. Again, we're going to mostly focus on JSP here. So view resolvers, so these are the ones that are provided by the Spring framework. Okay, so URL based view resolver and internal resource view resolver, those are the view resolvers for using JSTL view object, for generating JSTL view object. Okay, so as you can see, JSTL view object is returned once a view is resolved. Okay. There is what is called the Bean name view resolver and resource bundle view resolver, and then content negotiating view resolver. We're going to take a look at URL based view resolver, internal resource view resolver, and Bean name view resolver, and content negotiating view resolver in this presentation. We're skipping resource bundle view resolver. Between the URL based view resolver and internal resource view resolver, both of those are for rendering JSTL view object. In this case, internal resource view resolver is in fact a subclass of URL based view resolver. So let's talk about these things in a bit more detail. So URL based view resolver is a simple implementation of view resolver interface that effects the direct resolution of logical view names to URL. So suppose there is a test. Test is returned as a logical view name from a handler of a controller. Then it will display JSP page, assuming that JSP page is located on the webinf/JSP. Okay. So if you take a look at the URL-based view resolver configuration, you can see it is setting the view class with a JSTL view object, and then it says the webinf views and JSP. Okay. In our sample application, we were using actually internal resource view resolver. Internal resource view resolver is a subclass in which is using JSTL view as a view object. Okay, so that's what you have seen so far. If you take a look at any of the sample application, let's go to part 1. Take a look at the configuration here. So we were using internal resource view resolver. Okay. And basically internal resource view resolver already set as the JSTL view as a default view object. So this is the same thing. So as I said before, internal resource view resolver is a subclass of URL based view resolver. So if you want to use URL based view resolver, in this case you have to call set view class of JSTL view object like this. Okay, so this is the same thing as this. Okay, so since we are using JSTL view as the view object, we can use internal resource view resolver object. And here you still have to specify the location of the JSP pages, which is in this case webinf/views. Okay, and that's what we are using here. Okay. Okay, so that is the URL based view resolver and internal resource view resolver. Okay, so mostly we are dealing with internal resource view resolver in our sample applications. Bean name view resolver is basically a view resolver in which is going to actually call another bean that contains a name of the logical name. Okay, so suppose if you configure bean name view resolver configuration like this, in which is going to create a bean name view resolver. By the way, for the if you happen to have a multiple view resolvers configured, you can set the order. Okay. Now, suppose if you have a bean name view resolver, then there has to be a bean that create a view object. So here, suppose there is a welcome logical string that is returned from handler. If you happen to use the bean name view resolver, then we have to have another bean that generates some kind of view object. In this case, we are creating JSTL view object. So in this case, we are basically setting the URL of JSTL view, which is representing welcome.jsp page. Okay. Okay, chaining view resolvers. So suppose if you have a multiple view resolvers, you can configure, you can actually have these things to be consulted one by one in the order, and you can specify the order if you want to in terms of which one gets consulted first. Okay, so the higher the order property, the later the view resolver will be positioned in the chain, meaning it will be consulted in the letup, in later. Okay. However, internal resource view resolver is automatically positioned as the last view resolver unless it has its own order property set. Okay, so in our case, we don't actually set the order here, right? But you certainly could. So if you say view resolver, and we can certainly set view resolver, and then set order method. Okay, and you can specify it into order like this. Okay, so if you don't specify the order, then the internal resource view resolver will be always consulted the last. Okay, in our case, we have a single view resolver, so this will be consulted only anyway, right? But if you have a multiple of those, if you have internal resource view resolver, and if you happen to have a bean name view resolver, then bean name view resolver will be consulted first, and then internal resource view resolver will be consulted last, unless you set the order. So if you set the order this one as 1, and if you have a name, the bean name view resolver as order number 2, then this will be consulted first. Okay, so you can certainly specify the order even for internal view resource resolver, but if you don't specify the order, then internal resource view resolver will be consulted last. Okay. So chaining view resolvers. Okay, so in this case we have an internal view resource resolver, and this one is a bean name view resolver. Again, because this one doesn't have an order, this will be consulted first, and then if this view resolver cannot handle that particular logical view, then the next one will be consulted. Okay, exercise 1. So in exercise 1, we are going to just have a bean name view resolver, and we're going to actually see how it works. Okay, so let's see. This is the let's take a look at the lab documentation first. Okay, so we're going to run the project. So when we run the project, the first one will fail because there is no view resolver that handles it, and the third one, same thing. This one will succeed, and we'll see why that is the case. Okay, so let's run view resolver and bean name view resolver. So we are going to run this application, Java application. Okay, so that is up and running. So here, let's go to 8080. Oh, oops. This is the case I have to actually clear the cache. So let me go to options and privacy and clear recent history, and the last tower clear now. Okay, so let's now see. Close to 8080. Still doesn't clear that up. Bean name view resolver. Let me just make sure that I am running. This is a bit annoying. As Java application. Okay, so let's hope that this one now works. Okay, that works. So yeah, maybe I should actually go to a different tab to do it. Okay, so this one will fail because it doesn't have any view resolver that handles it. This one works. This one will say Spring that actually works. The third one will fail as well. Okay. All right, so let's see the code. So if you see the code, we have configured Bean name view resolver. We haven't configured internal, the view resource resolver. So we just have a Bean name view resolver. Okay. So in order to use a bean name resolver, there has to be another bean that actually takes the name of the logical view name, in this case my page 2, and then will set the URL. Specify, create the JSTL view object and return the JSTL view object, and we set the URL. So this is going to be used to display the page. But we don't have any my page 1 and my page 3. So if you take a look at the code, we have my page 1, my page 2, and model and view object, which is actually setting the logical view name is my page 3. So the only thing that that we can use is actually my page 2. So in order to actually have a my page 1 and my page 2 to work, then we have to add this bean declaration for those two as well. So we have to probably add one for my page 1 and one for my page 3. If you have those two, then those three links all should work fine. Okay, so I'll give you guys about 10 minutes to do this exercise.